Is Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by SlapStix Comedy Club. I just got a picture from Kevin Gritton, and the stage is built. They got to carpet it, but the stage is built, so things are coming along and should be open here within 5-6 weeks or so before everything gets rolling. But they're gonna have great food there, gonna have great comedy. We have a show on Saturday night at Rogue Media Network. Go to slapstixcomedy.com to buy tickets. On the bottom of this YouTube video, the link will be there as well. It's at 8:30 on Saturday night at Rogue Media Network doing improv comedy. I'll be there making a fool of myself on stage, so coming out and see me and my friends tell jokes. But top 5 sports feuds. And this is in honor of Brooks and Bryson. They're not on this list.
They don't need to be.
They're not to the top. They're in the infancy of their feud. It's embryonic, if even anything. All right, number 5, and I got flack for giving this number 5, but number 5, Tonya Harding versus Nancy Kerrigan. I mean, this one ended in an assault, so I guess that kind of tops the feud list. But I mean, there's shades of gray here in all this. Armstrong, you did not think that this should be number 5.
I thought this should be much higher up on the list.
I was gonna say
assault with a deadly weapon is how this baby ended. So
yeah, this isn't even really sports. You know what I mean? Like it is, but it's so much more off the thing. But yeah, it has to be up there. I mean, there's been I don't really know what to make of Tonya Harding all these years later, but that was some real white trash stuff back then, back in the day, no doubt. And that's certainly one of the all timers for sure.
I think that was part of the change in America. The way things like that got so much attention.
Yeah. It was that and the OJ trial.
Yeah, the OJ trial and it just.
And now we don't really have reporters anymore. There's some amongst there's one in every 5 people you see on TV probably.
That was one of the stories too that they had people just covering it every day, and and that's where they kind of had to make up what was going on a certain day. Like, well, Tonya Harding left her house and then came back today. Back to you, Steve. Yeah. I mean, that's all that happened. So you don't need to go to him. There's nothing going on. Like nothing changed from Wednesday to Thursday, so you don't have to report it on Thursday.
It's just it was. I rarely ever paid attention to it, but knew the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
The interns weren't even alive during it, so be glad that you didn't have to experience that.
And Tonya, very lucky that Margot Robbie was the choice to play her. But you always get like that step up, like who will play who. Margot Robbie. I didn't see the movie.
It's great. Really? It's really good. Yeah. Have you seen it, Armstrong?
I haven't seen. I've seen it 30 for 30. But.
It's really good. They did a good job.
Not going to give him a nickel.
It's very unique.
Straight to her.
It's very unique how they did it. It's not like it's not one of those like made for TV movies.
But it was when it was at the Oscars. Like Tonya Harding was there.
Yeah.
Like at the Oscars, and they recognized her.
Yeah.
There's a problem in itself.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, Billy Martin versus George Steinbrenner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Billy Martin kept getting fired and rehired and fired and rehired and fired and rehired.
Did they eventually do a commercial together about it?
No, they did a commercial. Yeah. They made fun of it on Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
All the different things.
Okay. I like that one. Yeah. Among the 5. I don't know about the order yet, but.
Yeah. Number 3, Don Chaney versus John Calipari. I'll never be in a press conference this interesting. So I thought that's why I put it at number 3, where John Calipari's up on the podium. And I actually think that those guys wound up becoming friendly later on. But Don Chaney just comes in going, I'll kill you. Yeah. I'll kill you.
But isn't a feud long-term?
I think it probably lasted a while before, Yeah,
it was. They didn't like each other. UMass and Temple. I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Actually, stupid ad blocker thing.
I know.
Can't look at anything without getting that to pop up. It says here that, the rivalry was back in the A10 days. Like the press conference was what got the attention, but they were like competing against each other all throughout the mid-90s. And then that happened in 2004, and it says they both became friends, did fundraisers together, posed for pictures, pretending to fight, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So that one's
That was a big blow up and a very funny Sports Center moment. Now we see it on Twitter like 5 seconds later, but back then to see some video like that in the Tanya Harding stuff too, we weren't desensitized to it at that point.
Yeah. Number 2, Jim Donnan versus Phil Fulmer. I don't know if you remember this one, guys, but they hated each other. Jim Donnan was the coach at Georgia. Jim Donnan, also a future convicted felon for embezzling money in a Ponzi scheme from coaches he got to invest in a business he got to after he got his ass booted out of Georgia. But he and Phil Fulmer, after a game, in the post-game handshake, got in a wrestling match. And there was no love lost between them before. There was no love lost after. Neither of them apologized. Like, now they'd have to go like, I'm sorry for my actions. And both of them's general attitude was like, yeah, well, F that guy.
Speaking of which, by the way, not only did we talk about yesterday about the WNBA, Bainbridge or whatever her name is, then somebody else from the Connecticut Sun organization came out and said, we're not, remember that yesterday? I was thinking about there was yet another level of, oh my God, we're so sorry we had somebody talk like that to it.
That giant diva overreaction to a very harmless comment.
And I was listening to a Dallas station this morning, and they went about 10 minutes on it because of but it was mainly because of what Bainbridge said, or whatever, not because of anything the coach said to her. Like, if you want equality. Okay, I'm getting off it, but the part was, okay, if you want, because if someone had said Shaq's a 7-foot, 400-pound guy, okay, he'd laugh at it.
Exactly. He would laugh at it. She took it personally, and then she brought race into it, which goes to show you her argument is pretty dadgum weak when it had nothing to do with that whatsoever, so enough of her.
Okay, Donnan and Fulmer, I didn't think much about that one.
Yeah, number 1, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
There's not even a 1A.
There's not, and that's look, when
Muhammad Ali is AD at the end, by the way. Okay.
Huh?
It's Muhammad Ali. I'm just because in case you want to let us know that it's AD.
Yeah. Yes. But Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, and this was Muhammad Ali crawling in Joe Frazier's dome, with the way that he worked the media, and it took probably a lot of Joe Frazier to understand that that's what Muhammad Ali was doing, because
he called him an Uncle Tom.
Yeah. And it wasn't right. Like, nothing that Muhammad Ali was really doing to him was right. But for Joe Frazier, I'm not advocating for, but Joe Frazier's a guy who, I just want to punch people and win the title and do my thing.
He wasn't a showman, although he became one at the end.
But he wasn't going to legislate through the media like Muhammad Ali did, which no one really did at the time. Muhammad Ali was a trailblazer when it came to that. I say trailblazer in a lot of regards, yes and no. But
he was absolutely,
And so because of that, you've got Joe Frazier, who's like, I don't know where this is all coming from, but now I have to do it. And so and look, to be fair, Muhammad Ali would never let anybody think this, but they were in each other's heads all the time.
Yeah, and by the way, I still think, even though Ali won the Thrilla in Manila, which may be one of the most brutal fights ever, that both of them were near death. Basically, even Ali admitted that. Frazier won the first one in 71, and they fought 3. They ended up, they needed each other. Ali would have still been great without Frazier. Frazier would not have been as probably dominant, but as a heavyweight champion back in those days, you're a bad, what?
Jack needed Arnie.
Yeah.
Look, the Bulls needed the team, the teams that they were against. Jordan needed Reggie Miller. All those things.
Jordan didn't.
No, but you need somebody. Jordan.
Oh yeah, you got a Batman and Robin opposite or whatever. Yeah, it is.
You have to have there's
the Joker and whatever.
Batman, you got to have that. And so they had that. They all had that. Tiger needed Phil. Phil probably didn't need Tiger, but Tiger needed that because he needed like Aaron Rodgers has to play with a chip on his shoulder. Tiger, being the best, he had to play with a chip on his shoulder. These two guys are the best at what they did. They needed to be better, a chip on their shoulder.
They both made each other great, and they both understood that and admitted that eventually at some point. That's Paul's 5 at 5:55. Bob Herring, ESPN.